Welcome. Thank you guys for being here. This is the Rising Tide LinkedIn Live Digital Hospitality call. I guess it's an open mic call. So if you're listening on the digital hospitality feed, we hope you join us on LinkedIn Live. You can follow Cali BBQ Media. You can send me an email, Sean at calibbq.media. I will get Mike in touch with you. We'll add you to the Google Calendar link. So we meet every Wednesday, every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. London time, wherever you are in the world. We have discussion topics every week. If you want to contribute to the discussion, we're always open to new digital hospitality topics. If you want to lead a room, let us know. Today's topic is Wi-Fi, which one of our fearless digital hospitality leaders, he actually traveled, Scott Turner, he traveled from London to San Antonio to speak at the Bar and Restaurant Show. He then flew to Los Angeles, and then he came down to San Diego. We recorded a digital hospitality content. We also did a restaurant influencers episode at our restaurant. But he wrote a post on LinkedIn about Wi-Fi, which inspired today's topic. Shockingly enough, in a digital hospitality room, we've never talked about Wi-Fi. So we brought some experts into the house. I see you down below, Diaz. Please raise your hand, come up on stage. Mike, thank you for being here. Summer, James, thank you for recording. Please raise your hand, come up on stage. But we're going to go through, do quick introduction, 60 seconds. Who are you? What do you believe? And where in the world are you? And then today we're going to talk about Wi-Fi, which I'm very excited to talk about, especially with this group of digital hospitality leaders. So Elizabeth, go ahead, 60 seconds, let the group know. Who are you? What do you believe? And where in the world are you? Go for it. Oh,
Yes.
look at Eric. Raise your hand. Hold on. I'm sorry. I see Eric and Xavier. We've got all these new people that I've somehow twisted their arm to come, but you have to raise your hand for us to bring you on stage. So Diaz, Eric, Xavier, Michael, please raise your hand. Go ahead, Elizabeth. Mike's yours.
Yeah, sure. And I think you hit the button in the bottom right-hand corner to raise your hand, and then we'll get you up on stage. My name is Elizabeth Doss. I am a motion graphic designer and social media content creator, strategist typey person. But I'm a verified artist with Giphy. My GIFs have been viewed over 5 billion times, and I help brands and businesses leverage Giphy and animated GIFs to connect with their audiences across social. And today I am sketching some Lego minifigures to pitch for a potential super fun collaboration with them. So I'm having a lot of fun while I'm listening, drawing Legos. Anyway, I'm in Greenville, South Carolina, and I'm excited about this conversation because we are full-time RVers, and so I love talking all things Wi-Fi. Back to you, Sean.
Awesome. Thank you, Elizabeth. We appreciate it. Michael Basiglia. Go for it.
Hey, what's up, everybody? As Sean said, Mike Basiglia. I am in Middletown, New Jersey. I am a podcast producer with Cali BBQ Media, working on some great content to go out next week, including an awesome interview with Dan Diaz in F3. So I'm curious and excited to hear from Dan later on in this room. And I believe I'm a huge NBA fan, so I believe my basketball team, the Nets, are going to lose by about 50 points in Boston tonight. Unfortunately, I do believe that. But back to you, Sean.
That's awesome.
Michael, the Cavs are going to get you on Saturday as well. The Cavs are coming.
You got it. They're playing great. They're playing great.
I don't know if Richard's allowed to speak after his Cleveland Browns performance against the Chargers, but that's okay, Richard. We love you nonetheless. Stover, go ahead. Stover, are you able to?
Hey, my computer's
how's your Wi-Fi? Does it work?
My Wi-Fi is working, yes.
Good.
And is Wi-Fi my internet? I'm confused. What is Wi-Fi, Sean?
That's why we brought F3 into the. We brought the Dickerson and Diaz.
I mean, I'm half joking, but my kids have been asking me what is Wi-Fi? How come we don't have Wi-Fi in the car and all these things? And I don't have any answers, so I'm very happy about this. My name is Stover. I'm from Portland, Oregon. I'm a longtime storyteller. Previously in my life, for a long time, that was in the form of journalism, print specifically. We all know what happened with that. I had to teach myself a lot of new skills. So I moved to Texas, started a barbecue podcast, got a little bit of notoriety, met Sean, and many years later, here we are. doing the new media thing, the new media thing, and teaching people how to be better digital storytellers along the way. Thanks, everyone.
Stover, do you see who's down below?
Who's here? Steven?
And
Eric, oh, I unfollowed Steven accidentally because Eric dropped in the room. Eric Olafson is the he's a
was
really important part. I don't know what he is.
he's
He's
the
something.
CFO.
He's the CFO of this amazing company. He's been here since the beginning when it was a barbecue restaurant, and one of the most famous people in the world.
And he's here, and we're trying to get him on stage. So, Eric, whenever you are able to come up on stage, please do. And X, we see you down below. Oh, here we go. He's raising his hand. So let's.
That's not what Eric looks like.
That is what I took that photo. That's like one of the only profile photos I took of him like 10 years ago. Eric, welcome back to LinkedIn. Can you unmute? Maybe.
It's my
How's your
first time. Sorry.
how's first time caller?
First time
Welcome to
calling.
welcome to Cali Barbecue Media. This is when you think we're just screwing around. This is what Stover and I are doing on
Yeah,
Wednesdays
what's
and
hilarious is
Fridays.
Eric is never on the mic for any of this stuff, and people have been following us for years and years, and Eric is one of the most important parts of what we do, and he's here every day, but no one ever hears him.
So Eric, take 60 seconds and let the room know and the digital hospitality audience know who are you and what do you believe and where exactly in the world are you? Go for it.
Well, right now I'm in Spring Valley, California, outside of San Diego. I met Sean in a parking lot about 16, 17 years ago, and we opened a restaurant, Cali Barbecue. And I'm now the CFO. I've also always been the unofficial IT guy. So I guess this is a good room for me to be in. Self-taught IT. And yeah, that's it.
That's awesome. I'm so happy that you joined us. Grateful that you're here. This is a special room today, getting Eric and Stephen and everybody else that's here. Eric actually gets to get introduced because he just gets to pay our team, but he doesn't really spend time with our team. We're getting more media exposure for Eric, so this is exciting. The restaurant and media world blending together. Gavin, go for it.
Hello, everyone, and Eric as well, since we've only had a digital relationship so far. I'm Gavin. I'm a podcast producer at Cali BBQ Media, based in Orange County, California. I help grow our external clients and grow their podcasts at Cali BBQ. One of those clients is Anthony Zoller of the Zoller Law Group, and got to experience firsthand how excellent he is as a host of an event last night at the Employers Law Summit. But I can also say that I also saw firsthand that when a restaurant or hotel or has a terrible Wi-Fi connection, how distributing footage back and forth between members can be really difficult. So excited for this talk. This will be fun.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Gavin. Jason Berkowitz on a Friday. JB, go for it.
Hello. Jason Berkowitz, founder, Arrow Up Training. We help restaurants satisfy compliance, level up employees, and develop supervisors into badass leaders. Following my post today, well, one of my posts, repost this awesome course that Sean and I put together for 7 shifts, but my other post was, in my belief, talk softer the louder that they get. I think it's a chapter from my title, Please Don't Sleep with the Host. And I kind of initiated it with how to talk to chefs and guests. But I think it really works today, as always, to de-escalate every moment and talk softer the louder somebody gets. Let's keep the volume low so we can actually listen to each other. Excited to be here.
Appreciate it, Jason. Troy Hooper in the house, pre-Vegas. I know there's a lot of people on this call that will be in Las Vegas. Please go visit Pepper Lunch. The Walchef Wolfpack did, and we have raving reviews. But I know that Troy's going to be giving a shuttle for anybody that is at RFDC. Mike, I know you're going. Laura, I know you're going. I think X is going, but please get some content from Pepper Lunch. Troy, are you able to unmute?
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. Very sweet of you. Troy Hooper, CEO and of Hot Palate America, parent company of Pepper Lunch Restaurants, co-CEO of the brand globally. Pepper Lunch, 520 restaurants in 16 countries and growing rapidly. going to be in Las Vegas. Thank you so much. Having an open house. Everybody's invited. Please bring your friends. We just want to share the sizzle with everybody. I'm also a podcast host of the show called The Pineapple Perspective, where we talk to hospitality leaders about what hospitality means to them and how they bring hospitality to life in their businesses. And what else? Am I missing something else? Oh, I own a wine bar in Santa Cruz, California, and Toast is being installed on the 22nd of November. So things are lively over here in Troyland. Hope everybody's well. Happy Friday.
I have a branding question for you. Is open house the correct term for what you're doing at Pepper Lunch?
What would you call it? I mean, we're inviting
It's an open mic.
You're giving away free food, right?
Yeah, it's an open house. So, I mean, that's my old term, I guess. I mean, we're transporting guests in a luxury vehicle over for free to our restaurant. We're having balloons and free food and drinks.
Sounds like a party.
And we're giving a little 5-minute or less presentation about the brand, and then we're networking. And so I call it an open house. When you invite people into your business and you open the doors and you give them free food and beverage and you tell them about your business, I've always called it an open house. I am very happy to hear about alternative terms for this event.
It's a party. Call it a party. I'm going to a party. I'm not going to an open house. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, there's a business purpose. We are trying to expose the guests to the business of Pepper Lunch.
Well, don't
not
warn
just have
them.
A party.
Don't warn them first.
Well, no, I only want people to come that want to hear about the business.
I'm just kidding.
Richard, is this an open house? Would you call this an open house in the United Kingdom?
I call it a party. Sounds great.
What the hell? What is an open house then, though? What's an open house?
It's a real estate. Like you're.
It's the party that you have after high school graduation before college, and everybody comes to your house and you give them free food. I'm from the Midwest. We call that an open house. I'm with you, Troy.
Thank you.
Open house. Okay. All right. I think we can do better branding. I believe in you, Troy. We'll workshop this thing. Scott Turner, Mike is yours. 60 seconds. Who are you? What do you believe? Where in the world are you? And thank you for today's inspiration of Wi-Fi topics, which I guess you got to have shitty Wi-Fi to make a post on LinkedIn about Wi-Fi. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've got a good story to share on those, haven't I, later? But hi, everyone. I'm Scott. I'm calling from London. I spent 15 years in luxury hotels and it got to a point where I realized I loved restaurants and bars. So I went to the Middle East. I worked in independent restaurants. 40 restaurant openings later, across 14 countries and annual revenues of $175 million, I realized that mindset could do a lot of good back into hotels, looking at their food and beverage. So that's when Orden Hospitality was born, and we now work with hoteliers to get them to think differently about their food and beverage, to make it exciting again and not kind of some of the stereotypes that's going round about boring hotel F&B right now. Sorry, Sean, I nearly did that without saying F&B. I nearly got there.
What the fuck's happening, Scott? We talked about this when you came to San Diego. That was phenomenal. Is that a mic
I slipped up on one F&B at the end. I nearly got there.
Food and beverage. You were so fucking close. Holy shit. That was fantastic, Scott. Well done. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the inspiration. Richard, mic is yours. Go for it.
Hi, I'm Richard. I'm 90 miles north of Scott in the middle of England. I live by a mantra of don't be boring, which manifests itself in brand consultancy, coaching and mentoring. I work with organizations all over the world. I absolutely love it. And I'm also the cultural attaché to the digital hospitality community. And Sean, my question for you is, if you were going for a drink with a couple of friends after work, what kind of place would you go to?
A drink with friends after work. Cali barbecue?
Maybe a beer. No, for a beer, what kind of venue would you go to?
A sports bar?
No, you go to the local.
The local? It's not a pub?
The local.
I thought you called it a pub.
Yeah, but you say I'm going to the local, which is a different...
So Cali barbecue is a local? Like we're the local?
Well, after work, you're going for a drink with a few friends. Well, where are we going to go? Oh, we'll go to the local. So that is word of the day.
That's where you get the raw cheese and onion sandwiches, right?
Oh, beautiful.
Now, wait a minute. Don't let this slide by. Richard said he was 90 miles north. Richard, in England, you don't use miles, do you?
Yes.
You do? You
Yeah, we
don't
use
do
miles.
kilometers?
No, that's what Europeans do.
Oh, see, now I learned two things today.
But
I didn't
you,
know the Brits used miles.
Yeah.
Lesson for me.
Because
but
we're
you do,
miles ahead of Europe.
you do drive on the wrong side of the road.
We'll debate that another time. I'll yield the mic.
Fair enough. Thank you, Richard. Eric Farrell, 60 seconds. Go for it.
There's always so much to learn on this show. Hi, everybody. I'm Eric Farrell. You can find me at thewordkitchen.com. I am the copywriter and ghostwriter for the food and beverage, the food tech world. I write so that you can keep cooking. I am about 45 minutes northeast of Indianapolis in the middle of nowhere. And what do I believe in? A lot of things. I believe I've got a whole lot of work to do, but I'm going to pause it and hang out and talk with you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. Dan Diaz, first time on the stage for a LinkedIn live call. Dan's digital hospitality episode's coming out on Monday, the day that I believe you'll be in Vegas. Is that right?
Actually, no, I will not be making it to RFDC,
What?
unfortunately. Yeah, there's some other travel coming up that will
That's
take
all
me
right.
away for a
That's
while.
all right. You travel enough. Go ahead. Introduce yourself to the group.
Dan Diaz, founder and CEO of F3 Technologies, located in Chicago. And before I go into what I believe in, I have just learned so much in the last 3 minutes. One, I totally thought Miles was just us, not UK. So I can appreciate learning that. The whole local thing, the bar that I owned in Brookfield was called Local, so I can appreciate that even more. But as I was texting Dan Dickerson, I would call that a friends and family or soft opening, because to me, open house sounds like you're meeting your kids' teachers. And my wife's a teacher, so I hear all about open houses and what happens there. And so I would not go with open house. What do I believe in? I believe in, with enough caffeine and rap music, you can get through any problem. And that's how I approach networking and Wi-Fi and the brand of hospitality that we serve here at F3, which is just get it done. Our tagline is "We get it done," and I truly believe with enough rap music and enough caffeine, whether it's coffee, Monster, Red Bull, 5 Hour Energy drinks, whatever it may be, you can get through anything.
This is fantastic. I'm so happy to have you and Dickerson. Dickerson, why don't you go ahead and go next?
Yeah, hi everybody. The other D&D at F3. I will take a moment to take a shot at my good friend Diaz. I am from Detroit, where the best pizza in the country is from. I am the field services director for F3 IT and our emerging partner field service operations. And my belief is that all of us in the tech space have a responsibility to help those who are not as knowledgeable or as aware of the things that are happening in the ecosystem around them, to bring those things to the forefront so that they can capitalize and maximize on those opportunities.
Amazing. I am so
Well,
happy. We have so many new faces and voices up here on stage, and I guess that's just a recommitment to digital hospitality and the fact that this is an internet thing. So it's an in real life and an internet thing, and turns out Wi-Fi is a popular topic. So thank you both, Diaz and Dickerson, and everybody else that's new and here. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Adam Foreman, another Wi-Fi man, a man of Wi-Fi, many Wi-Fis. Go for it.
Thank you. I am the Wi-Fi guy, that my TikTok says anyway. And I'm very proud that we are having more American clients sign up to realizing that first-party data is important. We've just had a nice 3 more sign up from the US by themselves and collecting first-party data. So everyone needs to have a realization that you won't get customers just walking in. But anyway, I am Adam. I am the founder of Captive Wi-Fi and also Support Wizard, 20 years in hospitality tech. We basically, with Captive Wi-Fi, we help you collect your first-party data. We offer customer feedback. We plug into reservations and loyalty platforms alike and help you transform your customers into a community. Converting into loyalty, allowing your customers to be transformed into a community. And we're about to plug into Incentive Video as well, which is really exciting. I also own Support Wizards, so we look after some awesome hospitality brands, and look after their tech stack, from POS to IT to Wi-Fi. We always make sure our customers have dual connectivity, so there is no failover needed, and we are always online to transact. Or we recommend Toast because Toast takes offline payments. But I'm the Wi-Fi guy. I also have a podcast as well, so Captive Conversations. Please go check it out.
Amazing. Thank you, Adam. Appreciate you being here and being part of the community. X, gonna give it to you. Xavier is in the house, one of our digital hospitality guests. I finally convinced you to come onto this open mic.
You're extremely convincing, Sean.
I did. Thank you. I appreciate that. I apparently not convincing enough because I tell people every day that they should come and meet the group and meet the community. So, but go ahead, Xavier. Explain to our community who you are, what you do, and welcome. Thanks for being here, man.
Oh my God, thanks for having me. Pleasure to meet everybody. My name's Xavier. Lifelong restaurant masochist. About 10 years ago, I got into the tech side of things because I hated managing back office, P&Ls, finance, all that stuff I never signed up for in the restaurant industry. So 10 years later, survived. Shoebox is a leader in the invoice processing world, and Over Easy Office is our latest company, about 5 years old, and we help to support accounting firms and enterprise brands to manage their back office with trained team members that are in our centrally located offices in Bogota and Manila, in case anybody wants to join us. And for my belief, I believe the British accent is the most charming and convincing English accent I have ever heard. And it easily adds 25 IQ points anytime I hear it.
That's
I'm so
fantastic.
sorry. I'm going to have to jump in there. You haven't heard people from speaking up north. Seriously, it's not the most charming accent
Scousers.
in the world. You know,
Scousers.
the car the road. You know, you don't want to speak like that in a combine harvester. These sort of people are the most charming people in the world.
There it
Well,
is.
then I'm also glad to hear that the Brits talk shit on each other also. So thanks for that.
Oh, they do, and they do right on this call, right in front of you, in real life and in this digital hospitality community. You can learn a lot by showing up here on Wednesdays and Fridays.
Perfect. I'll be in Vegas
X,
too if anybody will be out there.
do you know Troy X?
I've
Are you
only known
going to Pepper
Troy.
Lunch restaurants when you go to Vegas?
Listen, I love pepper. I love lunch. And I actually, the first time I ever saw a pepper lunch was in Japan. And I feel like I know him because you are all so active on LinkedIn. You are my inspiration for connecting with the world at large. If it were not for my coffee guy, I'd have zero social interaction. So thank you for this. And but yeah, I can't wait to meet you, Troy. I hope
Ditto.
I'll go to your open house. I'll go to whatever you're having.
What is soft opening, open
Friends
house,
and family, soft
free food?
opening.
You
Yeah.
might even buy a franchise while you're there.
Hey, by the way, I
Listen,
really appreciate all
buy a
the.
package deal.
I really appreciate all the extra attention, love, and support. I will have to leave in 7 minutes. I'm going to tell a franchisee that we're not going to accept them, and they
Ooh.
can go walk into another situation. So anyway, just wanted to say to everybody, have an awesome weekend. Love all of you. Miss all of you. Can't wait to see many of you in Vegas. Those that I don't see, I miss you. I'll see you soon.
Well, before you go, if you have 5, give us a quick Wi-Fi. Give us a quick Wi-Fi story. And Diaz, Mercedes, and Steven, I'm trying to bring you guys up, but for whatever reason, LinkedIn is acting weird. So maybe go in the room and out of the room. We can get 17 people on stage. So maybe go into the room, out of the room. We see you with your hands raised. Go ahead, Troy.
Did you hear all that or no?
No, I didn't hear anything.
Oh, do you hear me now?
I can now. Yeah.
Oh shit! I just said I have to leave in 5 minutes to tell a franchisee.
No, we heard. Yeah, we.
Oh, okay, that's it. I'm good. Bye bye.
No, what about Wi-Fi?
Oh, Wi-Fi.
A man that tried. Like, what the hell, man?
Okay.
The instructions.
No, you went out for a second as well. Okay, so Wi-Fi. It doesn't help you to have it if you don't use it. So we use a Dentro to collect to give free Wi-Fi to the guests, collect their data, track them around the world, learn all about them, market to them, etc. Our Toast handhelds are powered by Wi-Fi. Everything is powered by Wi-Fi. So you have to have good, reliable Wi-Fi. and you need to own the traffic and control traffic. So Wi-Fi in your store should be split. You should have customer facing versus back of the house facing, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know what else to say. That it's a valuable tool. It's a necessity. If you're not using it, you're missing out. And by the way, I think a lot of restaurants think that guests won't log on to their Wi-Fi. Adentro proved to me it's ridiculous how many people will. And there's some secrets out there that most people don't know. Companies like Adentro have partnered with all of the cell services. Cell companies want you off their towers. Your phone comes Wi-Fi call enabled automatically now. So when you go into a business that has Wi-Fi, if they have a partnership in this coalition of cell companies, basically you don't realize it, but your phone will switch from the cell tower to the local Wi-Fi for your calling and texting and TikToking and all that great stuff. And then when you walk out the door, it'll switch back to the tower. Anytime you're not on a tower, the cell phone carrier has excess capacity they can use for other data transferring. So pretty interesting fact about Wi-Fi.
Fantastic. Thank you, Troy. Go let them off easy. We appreciate you. Mandy, welcome to the stage. Great to see you on a Friday. Go for it.
Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. Mandy Graziano. I am an author of a funny hospitality business book, Sales Tales, the House of Humor and Lessons of a Life in Sales, and a multi-business owner in the hospitality space. And I believe in Wi-Fi. I'm excited. I have so many questions about this conversation today, but I believe when you're setting yourself up for success, you've got to set yourself up so your wingspan is speedy as possible. You've got to figure out what you got to do in your business to set yourself up for speed. And so much of that has to do with the Wi-Fi piece of this. So I'm excited for this conversation.
Well, Mandy is all over events and hotels and sales, and I can only imagine the Wi-Fi stories that you have, and as well as everybody up here on stage. But let's turn it over to Scott Turner, since you were the inspiration for today's room. Can you share your Wi-Fi experience, or at least why you posted on LinkedIn while you were traveling from London to the United States? Go for it.
It was more of a rant than a post, I have to say. But yes,
rants are good. We talk about what we believe in, but we also what we stand against. So go for it.
So the reason I posted it is because I got a call from one of my clients on Monday morning, and they were asking where a piece of work is that I'd sent to them like 3 or 4 days into the trip when I was there. And I was staying in big branded hotels, and the Wi-Fi in the hotels was terrible. In fact, it was better off going on to my 5G and doing hotspot than it was anything else. So in our business, we actively use Asana, we actively use Canva. There was a couple of bits where I wanted to get the keynote videos out onto YouTube pretty much the same day as I spoke at the events. And the hotels that I was staying at in San Antonio and in San Diego, the Wi-Fi was that poor that it was difficult to use Canva. It was almost impossible to do anything on YouTube or CapCut or editing and stuff like that. But the ironic thing is I took Delta from San Antonio to LA, and I got more done on that 3-hour flight on Canva and emails sending large files than I did on the ground in 2 large branded hotel groups. And I just got to that thing where I'd been traveling, I was on business, I was unable to pretty much do the business that I needed to do because the Wi-Fi in these hotels wasn't strong enough. And it's funny, I got so many people going, oh yeah, the Wi-Fi in the US is terrible and blah, blah, blah. Well, actually, my replies back was some of them were hotels in London, because the Wi-Fi in London hotels is crap as well. So it seems like a universal problem. I suspect it's more around cost than it is guest experience. And what took me to LinkedIn was I always believe, especially in hotels, that you shouldn't go to a hotel and get something less than what you get in your home, because I think that's what hotels should deliver as an experience. So when you go to a hotel on business and you go to business hotels and you can't do what you need to do to run your business because the service isn't good enough, I just think that's where operators have to have a long, hard look at themselves and really look at who their market is and who they're trying to help, because it certainly didn't help me last week. And I just find it ironic that at 38,000 feet, I can do Canva for 3 hours. But the minute I landed and went to my hotel, I couldn't even load Canva up. So that was that was my story. Adam's on the call. Me and Adam's provided my Wi-Fi for many years in restaurants. As he says, he keeps us going. He keeps an eye on it in the background. We've never had issues in restaurants that we operate. And I just, again, think if restaurants can do it, hotels with their infrastructure and their teams that sit behind it should definitely be able to do it. And I'm a strong believer that you should be able to do something at ground level that you can do at 38,000 feet. So that's my rant.
I love it. Thank you for setting the stage. And we'll go ahead and go to Adam. Adam, can you give us a quick story or some quick tips? We also got Diaz and Dickerson, as well as everyone else on this call that we'd like to contribute. But as you guys deal with this for your business, we would love to high level it. So go for it, Adam.
Thank you very much. So yeah, Wi-Fi isn't a bag. I think a really interesting point that
hold on, Xavier, you need to mute your mic.
Deal. Sorry about that.
You're good.
Yeah, I think the really interesting point that we see is there's two pieces with Wi-Fi, right? Your internet provider will give you a router, and more often than not, unless you have even if you have a good ecosystem, you assume as a restaurateur that everything will just work. So you plug everything in, and if you don't have managed Wi-Fi or at least some form of access point in your business that gives you enough coverage for your operation and work, as well as your guests, and as Dan said earlier, segmenting and separating those networks out, you're set up for failure. I literally spoke to a client today who called us for the Wi-Fi about about the tech stack, and they're going with Lightspeed as a till system. So I said to him, "Look, send me your plans, like your electrical plans for the site." So sent me electrical plans, and there's a legend on the left that says DP for data points, and there's lots of electrical plug sockets everywhere, but nothing for data. So I went back to him. I said, had you spoken to the builders about data? And he goes, I don't know. I'm from finance. I'm setting up a salad shop. That's not my bag. I don't do this stuff. I just ask the builders to build me a plan. So this is probably the 30th person in this year that I've spoken to, even operators as well, where there's not a thought process on the design of the restaurant and Wi-Fi. And then when you get to that part, even if you have opened, collecting first-party data is really important. Adentro is a really big service in the US. I spoke to a guy in the US who's a marketer yesterday, and he used to use ZenReach, who got bought out by Adentro, and the price went up by about 90%. So he's now stuck with retail stores and hospitality stores with no first-party data captured. Now, that service is very clever. They give you a lot of data, but the stuff that we've built is all about loyalty. So for us, we spoke to a client the other day who've never collected data in the last 20 years, ever. We started in their restaurant in Knightsbridge in central London, switched it on. Now, like some of the restaurants in New York, you walk in and there's no phone signal at all. They have the same, zero phone signal. You go in, and in the past, it was just all open. They switched that customer Wi-Fi on. Within 3 weeks, they had 5,500 email addresses, first party data, opted in. We got GDPR as a little bit more stringent, but 5,000 towards the end of the month. And they have 47 restaurants globally. So I was lucky to get introduced to them. And we've just rolled out the US. So we now have, we've done all across Europe. And it's really interesting because they're the company that've been going for a very long time. They're called Zuma. Zuma and Rocker, they're the brands, the Zumi restaurants. Very high end. They don't send lots of big emails out. They're collecting like thousands of email addresses per month, which allows them across the group to market who they need to market. And they understand where people are going as well. So they can fully track that customer if they've gone to New York and flown over to Dubai or gone to Mykonos. It's really interesting on that. For the smaller brands and the casual dining brands, we work with loyalty partners like Incentivio and Como. So you connect to the Wi-Fi piece. And when you connect to the Wi-Fi piece, you don't have to scan a QR code to join a loyalty club. You've already signed into the Wi-Fi. So we do the rest. We do the hard work. So within minutes, you're signed into loyalty. You've curated that community piece. Each visit on the Wi-Fi is then tracked into loyalty. So you start building that community without having to worry about it. So I think we are educating our customers and our friends in the US that mobile signal might be great, but if you do switch on customer Wi-Fi, people will connect to it. The main thing that we see when we speak to casual dining brands in the US is we're not Starbucks. We're not a coffee shop. Why do we need Wi-Fi? But it actually really interesting enough over the last couple of months, shift is changing. We're getting more people coming and finding us. Happywifi.com, shout out to that. And signing up themselves and connecting. So we've just signed up a client in Naples, funny enough, came out of nowhere, all signed up, ready to go. So it's very interesting. So the connectivity piece is really important, obviously keeping your business alive, but separating that network out on the technical side. But the customer Wi-Fi side is really important. And what Scott said in regards to hotels, the challenge you have is that sometimes there's not enough technical knowledge with that. Either it's a franchisee of a hotel who is running that hotel, doesn't have that tech knowledge to understand how to split out the network, so they just lock it down to the terriblest connection ever. The majority of hotels we work with have awesome internet, but some do don't give the customer journey enough thought or give them enough shared speed. So it's really interesting, but that's my take.
Brilliant. Thank you, Adam. Dan Diaz, why don't you go ahead and kick us off with the high-level Wi-Fi conversation?
I mean, Adam just hit on it. We were just speaking about this over lunch in London with Arun Kumar when I was out there, and I was talking about how I had to hop on everyone's Wi-Fi because my cell phone did not get good service out there, right? And
Who's your provider?
so I am crazy. I have like one of my irrational fears is to have no cell phone signal. So
It's not that I share that fear. I share
uh,
that fear deeply.
I have two phones and I have four lines, and so I go across AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile um, on my two phones. And when I was in London, like they just weren't working. I was talking about this with Adam about I needed the Wi-Fi, and so that was the first time I encountered that in a populous city to where I needed Wi-Fi. But I've seen it 100 times. I mean, through all the installs I've done, I know that I probably have done. Our running joke is that Dan Dickerson only has 6 months of installing. So, along with his bad taste in pizza, is his lack of implementation of POS hardware. But in my install days, you would see it all the time. You would see not enough access points, or you would have the opposite, right? We were just dealing with a high volume nightclub here in Chicago concert venue where they had two access points 3 feet away from each other. And then they were wondering why they were having so many issues. And one was for the POS and one was for their own network. And you see it, and these are people who are running multi-million-dollar operations and they could literally call any artist you wanted to on their phone and have them in their place that night. But they're making a mistake with their Wi-Fi, and then they're not understanding why it is that way. And so unfortunately, like it happens all across, right? You have restaurateurs who just they don't know about Wi-Fi or networking or VLANs. We had a situation just this last week in New Orleans with one of our customers where they had to reset their network because they didn't have the password for the unified dream machine. And so here it is, they just needed things done and they didn't know what they were doing. So they created the wrong Wi-Fi and the VLANs were bleeding. And, it's just, it happens time and time again. And one of my favorite things is to, have some caffeine, put some rap music on and get it done and have the customer be happy we fixed their problem because they didn't even realize how bad it was. They just see it's not working right. And, that's where we help kind of show our customers why F3 is so important because we don't charge an arm and a leg. We just say, hey, this is how we fix it. Boom, boom, we're done. And we're on to the next problem. And I think that with the evolution of Wi-Fi, right now you have 6G. Is that the new Wi-Fi standard now? New one on Unify? I just saw yesterday. They go, oh, it's 6 gigahertz, right? Like most people don't even know what 5 gigahertz is and why you should be on 2.4 versus 5. Now you have 6. Then you have Wi-Fi 7. So it's going to be an ongoing struggle, but hopefully through stuff like this and, everyone on this call making, fighting the good fight, if you will, we could help people really learn about what's going on and how to fix things better themselves or just call one of us on this call.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about having the discussion about it, I mean, I have a 7-year-old boy and a 5-year-old girl, and like I think about Wi-Fi and they're using old iPhones that we haven't turned in, and they're using Wi-Fi at restaurants, or they're connecting to, my phone or my wife's phone whenever they're using their phones. And it's just, how do you explain something that's very complicated?
That is the fight we're having right now. I have 10-year-old twins and a 6-year-old, and just like locking down their iPads and they don't have phones.
Yeah,
But locking down their iPads and talking about the safety of Wi-Fi and what you say in Roblox and stuff like that. It's an ongoing fight, not just for restaurateurs, but for any parent too, right? I
for
have a
sure.
separate Wi-Fi for my kids. It's called Twins, and it is open, but it's locked down hard. Like they can't do
Hmm.
anything really on there, and that's on purpose. So hopefully we can
Interesting.
fight that fight too together.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dan. Dickerson, something you want to add to the simplicity of Wi-Fi or complexity of Wi-Fi conversation?
Yeah, great points all around. I think a lot of it starts with the bandwidth and the backbone, and Adam hit on it quite a bit. Where I actually had a conversation with a customer. They were a hotel. They had 400 rooms. All this the large capacity venue, and they had 100 megabit service. And I think a lot of times, kind of going back to Adam's point, is you might have a $1,000, $1 million architecture, but if you don't have the right speeds to support what your business is trying to achieve, that's the big part. We were talking. She's like, "Well, what do you have?" And I was like, "I have 2 gig service in my house, and I have 2 people in it." And kind of stoking that conversation of like, the internet is not what you want to cheap out on, and kind of hitting the Scott's point and everyone's point, like as you start to add in more and more people, I think a lot of times folks don't capacity plan for how many potential devices are going to be connecting, and really making sure that you're providing those speeds and those prioritized connections to those who are really going to be vocal about it. That hotel stay where you just can't get anything done, that's going to be the taste that you have. That's going to be the reminder that you have of that brand or that particular hotel, and you'll talk about it with other folks, or within your circle of like, hey, I was there and I couldn't get anything done. And a lot of times, obviously margins are very tight, but if you're really trying to gather that data and really provide that experience outside of what's happening within the walls, you really want to get those speeds up. So, and I think a lot of times, to Dan's point with the Wi-Fi 6 and the Wi-Fi 7, marketing is obviously doing a really good job at latest and greatest, and this is the stuff. But you hit on the head, Sean. Like, if you're walking around with 3, 4, 5 year old technology, that $1,000 access point isn't really going to do you any justice because your tech stack isn't up to speed as well. So, I think to Dan's point, us as consultants, really making sure that customers are getting what's right for them and right for their application has become more and more paramount than ever. We go up against quotes and opportunities where we see all these items, and it's like a coffee shop with a $20,000 network build out, and we're kind of like, what's the end goal here? So really really being that voice of truth and really being the trusted advisor to a restaurant has become more paramount than ever.
Hey, Sean, can I jump in
Yes.
here really quick?
Mandy, you know the rules. You can always jump in. That goes for
Um,
anybody on stage and down below.
all
Always
right,
go for it.
Dan, Daniel, Adam, I wish I had you at every single hotel site inspection, every single pre-conference with the hotel, every single day one of a conference at a hotel, because I'm going to take my author hat off for a minute and I'm going to put my conference buyer customer hat on and tell you a story about what happens when your facility does not have these consultative conversations with super smart humans like Dan and Daniel and Adam. So here's what happened. And this happens all the time. Earlier this year, I had a client, a high-end technology customer, 1,000 people program in a hotel in Southern California. I will not name names to protect the innocent, but if these guys that offer services send me a separate message, I'm happy to let you know because it could be an opportunity for you. 1,000 people. And we went through when we negotiated this contract, I negotiated the exact amount, the Mbps of exact amount of bandwidth we will need. We talked about hard lines. We talked about separate networks. We had everybody's IT people involved. We knew that the hotel wireless was operated by a third party, which is very, very common. Operated by a third party, but managed internally by their in-house AV, Encore, which is also very common. And we explain the importance of it. It's a user group. Everybody's doing demos. The salespeople are selling things. What happened is as soon as the CEO gets up to make the biggest release of their newest version, the internet went down. They were about to do a whole bunch of demos. They had tons of customers signed up to do these demos at this hotel. We could not have had, the client could not have prepared the venue for more for this. And the internet went down. And when we asked the hotel, what do we do? Not one person in the hotel knew what to do. And they kept just blaming this third party provider. Where our position was, bro, you got to have a line to the third party provider, or you need to train an internal staff member how to mitigate these problems on site, or you need as a hotel to pay for that third party provider to be there during these super important events like this, because this internet went down during this very, very important conference, the company lost $1 million. This was a huge conference, but because they couldn't do demos for all of these customers that flew in all around the world, they lost a half a day of productivity. So if your facility isn't set up with the bandwidth that it needs, and you don't allow the consultants to ask you all of these questions, and then you don't train somebody on site to either have that direct connection with that third party provider, or make sure that you've got a relationship that you can call somebody 24 hours a day to fix something, then you are doing your customers a huge disservice. And that's what happens. I ended up negotiating, we got free Wi-Fi the rest of the time, but the hotel still had to pay the provider. And then we ended up getting $100,000 credit towards a future meeting at this hotel because of the amount of money the client lost. So this stuff doesn't just happen on site in the moment. This stuff happens after the fact, and you end up as a restaurant or a bar or a hotel or a venue, or I think, Adam, I don't know, whatever, you probably are talking about Live Nation is my guess. You end up paying for this after the fact over and over and over again. So I would train somebody on site. I'd make sure of your relationship with your third party. I'd let the consultants do their job because that's what they do best. And then I also want to throw something out there. There's a stat out there that people are traveling of the minimum of 4 devices now. So if you have a 400 room guest room, like somebody had talked about before, 400 room hotel or 1,000-seat restaurant, you can't assume you just need to accommodate 1,000 people or 400 people. People are traveling with multiple devices, and you've got to have the bandwidth for that. So I could go on and on and on about pricing and market and service levels and all that other stuff, but I want to make sure you're prepared as venues, restaurants, hotels to have that liaison in place and just listen to your consultants, because it does lose your customers money if you don't set it up the right way.
Mandy, there's a reason why we do this call all the time since Clubhouse, and we're trying to get people that believe in digital hospitality from all over the globe to connect for topics like this. That was absolutely amazing, Mandy. Thank you for the case study. Thank you for the example. Thank you for the leadership. Dan, did you want to add something to what Mandy said?
I did. You're speaking our language, because we have quite a few customers. One of them, we go out to their location once a quarter to check their network because it's cheaper for them to fly me out rather than go down for an hour. The cost for the year would still be, they'd lose more in an hour than to be down. And everyone kind of wants it's like the most often thing. They want to save on that cost for on-site implementation, on-site consulting, being there, go live, whatever it may be, and it costs you. I mean, we have Dan Dickerson and I have many war stories. I'm sure Adam Foreman could also tell you many war stories of people who were just decided to go cheap that way, not realizing the consequences, and it costs you way more. And so it's unfortunate that it still happens, but it's the most common thing. People just, oh no, we don't need to pay for that. It happened not too long ago with an event here. Oh, they'd rather us go internal. We'll do it ourselves. And then they were down for 4 hours in a very high volume platform. And it's just, stop that. It will make your life so much more easier if you have someone like Adam Foreman on site for a massive event, or Dan Dickerson, or myself, or anyone who really knows about networking. It may cost you a little bit, but you're going to save a lot more in the long run.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant.
Peace of mind. Peace of mind's worth every penny.
100%. And just want to welcome everybody down below: Loyson, Hildy, Laura, Joe, Amy, Becky, Richard, Victoria, Emiliano. Thank you guys for being here. Please follow each other. This is a community. We believe a rising tide lifts all ships. This is the Rising Tide Call every Wednesday, every Friday. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. We hope you come back. If you want to contribute to the conversation, please raise your hand. Come on stage. Your voice matters. Eric, are you able to unmute and share a Cali barbecue Wi-Fi story quickly? I know you're actually running the restaurant, so I appreciate you joining. But if you're not able to unmute, then we'll go around to Elizabeth. Go for it, Eric. Whenever you're able, if you hear me, just go ahead and unmute. We would love to hear a war story of Cali Barbecue's Wi-Fi. But if not, go ahead. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Yeah, sure. I wanted to double down. I'm not sure if it was Daniel or whoever was talking about diversifying your Wi-Fi. That is something that we learned early on. We've been full-time RVers for 7 years now, and we just knew that if we were traveling in different parts of the country, that James was still working remote for the law firm, and I was, working on doing my animation business. We knew that we needed to diversify. So he's on Verizon, I'm on AT&T. So no matter where we were in the country, hopefully one of us would have signal. Now there's still parts in the middle of nowhere, USA, that you still need help. So I will say that it has been a huge part of our way of living for a while. But I wanted to jump in real quick about during disasters, just because last month or so ago, when the hurricane came through here in South Carolina, we're just 45 minutes south of Asheville, Hendersonville area. So in the mountains, when the hurricane came through, not just in the mountains, but in the 6 states that it went through, there were 3,432 cell phone towers that either didn't have power or were damaged or were on backup mode. And so communication was gone. And especially in the mountains areas, there were so many landslides that the towers that were up there were just gone. And so on top of the devastation, people could not even call for help or find help. And so just thinking on like this larger scale of realizing how much we rely on it. Now, I do know that like with Starlink, and so that when Elon sent a bunch into that area, people were able to start communicating with each other in that area. And even because my dad has Starlink, and he was on his phone one day, and all of a sudden he looks up at us, he's like, guys, he just reimbursed the bill for this month, and in fact it's free through the end of the year, which is amazing in this really devastated area that needs as much help as it can get. But I just wanted to mention that even the Wi-Fi signals of the towers that are here, and thinking about the satellite side of things, I know that Apple and some other things are starting to include these emergency services as a part of it. Like when our power was completely down, everything was down. At one point, there was a notification that came up on our phones that said, if you'll point your phone to the sky, and it helped you track where the satellite was. Now, this wasn't Starlink, this was just Apple stuff. It would help you find a satellite that potentially could help you. So I do want, I don't know if it's a certain setting you need to put on your phone or something like that, but it's something to look into. My last thing is a funny story. So in my sister's neighborhood, they had been blocked in from all the trees that had fallen, and they didn't have power for over like, it was like 10 days, but they didn't have internet for like 2.5 weeks. And the kids in the neighborhood had the best time. They built forts, they play outside anyway. But guys, when the AT&T truck showed up in the neighborhood, the kids in the neighborhood were following it like an ice cream truck. Like, when is the internet coming back? And hunting down the technicians there. And I just, that part made me laugh just a little bit. But anyway, I know that was kind of hopefully not a downer, but just taking into account, what does emergency services look like in and around what you offer. So back to you, Sean.
Fantastic. The internet ice cream truck. That's Eric for me. Eric's the one that fixes the Wi-Fi for Cali Barbecue and for my home office, Cali Barbecue Media, in my house. So Eric's the internet ice cream truck. Mike, do you have something you'd like to share about Wi-Fi?
Yeah, no, thank you, Sean. And now I'm visualizing truck going around and all these adults running, trying to get internet. Please help me, which is pretty funny. Yeah, I'll keep it brief too on my side. I know a lot of other people to get up here, but it's been a cool conversation. Two thoughts for me. Just one, whenever we go on long road trips, my wife likes to drive. So I'll be the one. Just amazing how much work I get done sitting in a car because our phones turn into mobile hotspots. And it just amazes me that I can get all of this valuable work done. Because I'm in a car and the distractions are way down. And it's like, wow, I can really focus here with this powerful Wi-Fi. And then two, from a podcast perspective, one of the things that I guess it's just kind of the way it is in a lot of ways. But as a producer and a host, the frustrating battles of when you do a internet connected podcast and you might be all set and your internet's all good, or maybe it isn't at points, but just that kind of the guests that you have on your show, or that you're producing for, that fear of just like, what if their internet goes down or something happens. As I think is just kind of interesting as podcasting evolves with that one-on-one interview when people are in different places. Always just thinking, I really hope their internet's stable today and everything's in a good place. The benefits of remote podcasting, where you can interview amazing people all over the world, but still that fear of, I really hope their connection is good today because I worked really hard to get this interview. Is always something I'm thinking about, especially as all these different platforms come out for recording. How that will change and evolve over time.
Yeah, and you know what, Michael, too, you brought up a good point about podcasting. Something Amani and I learned about when we take our podcast on the road, when we're at trade shows or conferences, always ask for the hardline internet because everybody's Wi-Fi is so irregular, and hardline obviously costs the person paying a little bit more. But we've had experiences where the facility Wi-Fi, as awesome as they think it is, isn't. And so if you're taking that podcast on the road and you're doing it live, ask for the hardline internet.
That's a radio trick, Mandy. Did you know that? That's a live remote trick.
I did not know that. I thought that was just an old lady meeting planner trick.
No,
I love that.
That is definitely a live remote. You can't do a live remote without a hard wire in. Oh,
yeah.
Awesome. Gavin, Mike's yours. Go for it. Gavin, you still with us? If not, Jason.
Sorry. No, I'm here. I'm here. And that's very true about hardlining the radio remotes. I've been on plenty of remotes that were very difficult in my radio background. No, I think I saw firsthand yesterday working at an employer summit at a restaurant hotel that, when the internet was as shaky as it was there, we couldn't transfer basic files back and forth, trying to get social media posts up and stuff like that. And it ended up being AirDrop was the only way to do it. And that's because you're not relying on Wi-Fi as much in that area. So, the stronger the internet, the more reliable you can be in that area, especially for your business. Like, it is just massively time saving because you end up running around trying to troubleshoot everything instead of actually being productive. So, and then kind of like what Mike's saying, working in the podcasting business, like we saw during the pandemic, everything went virtual, as opposed to, when you're recording in a studio or everything, you're relying on that internet. And a lot of times, just like you guys were just talking about, you have guests that maybe their Wi-Fi is not as good, or simple things like uploading files to a Google Drive after you record, taking forever. So, there's always, the good thing about innovation is there's programs like Riverside that are going to make it a little easier, and storing things in the cloud, and being able to access even if the Wi-Fi can go down and they're constantly uploading. And the good thing is there's always going to be better solutions out there for this industry and everyone's industry. And I just think that you have to, most of my work is done from my home, and it's the most important aspect of my work right now is making sure that I have a stable Wi-Fi connection so that I don't lose anything while I'm working. And so, like, I have multiple Google Nest points floating around my house because I work upstairs. And I'll pass it back along. But yeah, I just think as the world gets more and more global with the connectivity and Starlink and all the, the innovation is there, and I'm excited to see how it just keeps getting better.
Yeah, it is pretty incredible thinking of like just I've known my wife now for 16 years and been traveling to Bulgaria to her village and how much better the Wi-Fi is now that I have no problem going for long periods of time knowing that I could be in the village and be getting the same upload speeds that I would be if I'm here in San Diego. So, yeah, the world is changing quickly. Jason Berkowitz, go for it. Jason Berkowitz, you still with us? Maybe not. Maybe Jason's busy.
Go on, are you collecting
Excuse me.
first-party data at Cali Barbecue?
What's that?
Are you capturing Wi-Fi data at your venues?
We do. We have a Dentro.
Amazing. Good. I'm
Yeah.
proud of you.
Thank you.
I had a
We
call
passed
come
the
in. You were
test.
reaching out to me though, right?
Yeah, I was reaching out to you. What's up? You
What's
got a
up?
story? You got a
No, I
story?
got
Rabbi Berkowitz?
I got wisdoms. So I've opened up probably nearly 100 um restaurant centers at the gym. I've opened up nearly 100 restaurants, and I got some wisdom, some sayings that I've learned along the way. Number one is going to what Adam and Dan's were talking about as far as having you think an expert's expensive. What do you see what an amateur will cost you? So have somebody available who can manage the moment. Number two is, I, people that have heard me say that work with me is we can literally manage a rover on Mars, but I still got to run back to the office and unplug and replug the Wi-Fi back in. And so, in preparing for that, everybody who's been a part of my top leadership going into battle, which is how I look in opening, our plan A is to plan for B. And so everyone knows that there has to be an answer. One of those things are, but what if the Wi-Fi goes down, right? What if the Wi-Fi goes down? And before it used to be, we had crash kits for taking transactions for credit cards. That was our redundancy, which is a word I think that, that we haven't heard yet. It's called. But what if our Wi-Fi goes down? And in that, what I do and in all the restaurant openings is that I've built a critical path to opening, which is a step-by-step plan all the way down to, did we order the toothpicks? And I'm actually going to be redesigning it and sharing it with a bunch of people. But one of the big steps is, sure, what day is the internet service supposed to be turned on? But what is our additional Wi-Fi backup plan? So whether it was satellite, it's been a few years since I've opened up a restaurant. So whether it be through Starlink or different changes, what is the external link that all of us who are huddling in our computers around the desk while they're sawing in the background, what are we using, not just our personal hotspot, but what are we using as some sort of connector to the sky so that we can all pull Wi-Fi off of and make sure that we have the data to keep moving. So that is a pinnacle piece that they know before I walk in the door for any reason. What is our Wi-Fi redundancy? Because something's going to go wrong and we need to be able to communicate. So that's the wisdom that I'm very bullish about. And I make sure every restaurant opener knows and has in place before they're open. And that's my stuff.
Respond to
Somebody,
Jason on that because we've been doing some research into there's a couple of different types of the Starlink things. Some of them are location specific, but some you can roam with, and you can buy the equipment but turn the access on and off based off of when you need it. So if you have multiple locations and you need this backup situation, you can have the equipment for a roaming set, but only turn it on when you need it, if you needed that backup situation. Anyway, so it's something we've been looking into. Anyway, so I wanted to insert that. Back to you, Sean.
thank you, Elizabeth. Appreciate it. Dean LeBay, you got a Wi-Fi story, my friend?
No, yeah, kind of whatever. But
Don't whatever me, Dean.
no, what I want to do is I want to talk
Just
about,
because it's Friday, you can't be whatevering me.
Okay, all right. But hey, first of all, shout out to Dickerson, man, great guy. What I want to talk about is,
What
I
about
design.
Diaz? Is Diaz a great guy too?
I don't know Diaz, but
Okay.
I welcome the
Which one
opportunity.
likes the Detroit pizza?
That would
I
be
think
that would be me.
You get the
Okay. Anyway, here's my story. Real simple. As someone who designs kitchens and restaurants, you know, we're always focused on the back of the house, the equipment, the voltage, the gas, and all that good stuff. You'd be surprised how many people don't. I think Diaz is the one who brought it up. You'd be surprised how many of these design companies do not figure out to put the data lines in the restaurant. I mean, you know, that should be a given. But you know, I don't know, Jason. You said you opened up hundreds of restaurants. How many of them actually had it on the plans where you know where actually that was Adam that said that. But how many actually have it on the plans when they're building out a restaurant? I guarantee
Actually,
you.
Dean, you're right. You're so right. We say run. It used to be the CAD 5, right? Run those in all the walls, even if you don't think you need it. Absolutely. It's a great app.
Right. So my point being, you know, that's an afterthought because, you know, there so many people are focused on so many other things. And Rev, I can't pronounce his last name. He's the one that's got the cheeseburger and crap in his name. But you know, basically he says the biggest thing that every restaurant should do is be capturing their email address so they can reach out to them. So, you know, two pieces to the puzzle here. Number one, the cost of inaction. If you don't set up your restaurant and not put in data lines and prepare for Wi-Fi to help you, cost of inaction, grab you some email addresses so you can at least keep up with your customers and reach out to them and build that hospitality, that engagement of getting to know them. And that's all. The things that Mandy's talking about, I mean, you know, I can't imagine that to me was a horror story of somebody going up and then the Wi-Fi go out. I live in New Orleans. Now, Dickerson's been down here. The Wi-Fi in New Orleans is horrible. But when I went to the chicken festival and they were there, you could pull out your telephone and it was better than what I had at my house. I'll put it to you that way. So anyway, thanks guys.
That's awesome. Thank you, Dean LeBay, and thank you everybody down below. Eric, are you able to unmute? If not, we're going to go around, do tip, takeaway, homework assignment. Well, Eric, we did get Eric for a little bit, but let's go ahead. Tip, takeaway, homework assignment. Thank you guys for being here. Happy Friday. Please join us every Wednesday, every Friday. This is the Rising Tide LinkedIn Live. You can listen to replays of these rooms on the digital hospitality feed. Elizabeth, tip, takeaway, homework assignment. Go for it.
Yeah. So I will say after having worked a little bit with Adam, not me working with him because I don't have a restaurant, I don't have that, but listening to the importance of the data side of things. Like one thing I've learned from him is 85% of people will opt in to your email when they have to use the Wi-Fi there. And you got to think Adam and I were talking about parents with kids and their tablets. You know, you got to keep that in mind too, that you potentially have access to them. And so if you're interested in this at all, I would encourage you to talk to Adam. Anyway, back to you, Sean.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Mike, go for it. Tip, takeaway, homework assignment.
Yeah, thank you. Great conversation. Just really that things are evolving, ask questions, and get ahead of it, you know, as best as you can. It's interesting for me because I'm not, you know, I'm just working from home, so my perspective is a little different, but hearing people that are going to events, setting up events, is just do the best you can to set up in advance is something that if I have to do something, I definitely will keep that in mind moving forward. And then also, I am from New Jersey. I love New Jersey pizza, but I secretly do love Detroit style as well. So I will admit that.
There it is. Their admission. It's on permanent record forever now. Gavin, go for it. Tip, takeaway, homework assignment.
I think tip would just be to have a backup plan to, you know, as I saw yesterday, like, you know, you need to be able to pivot right away with when issues like the company Wi-Fi you're at aren't working. And, you know, now I know the value of AirDrop. So take that going forward.
Awesome. Thank you. Jason Berkowitz.
If you're about to be on a podcast, when you're at home, turn off devices that don't need the Wi-Fi. So I turn off my iPads and everything around me. I turn off the Wi-Fi so it all can focus on the computer.
There we go. Dan Dickerson, thanks for being here, man. Tip, takeaway, homework assignment.
Yeah, absolutely. Little blue collar mindset, but you get it done right, you get it done fast, you get it done cheap. You have to pick two. And I think a lot of times folks usually pick cheap as part of it and they pay some valuable lessons. So definitely, as we've all talked about today, make an investment in that tech stack. And I just have to say, my heart is so full right now that y'all love Detroit pizza. I'm sure Diaz is about to call me after this and give me some kind of lashing, but I'm dying over here. So great being on here for the first time. Super excited about the series.
Awesome. We hope you join us again. Your expertise, stories, and experience are all welcome here. Adam, tip, takeaway, homework assignment.
Make sure you're collecting first party data, firstly. Secondly, please whip out your iPhone and record something. Don't get past the cringe factor. That's mainly for us in the UK. And then secondly, if anyone wants custom Wi-Fi, we don't have 100 million verified contacts like a Dentro, but we offer a better service because we create community. So that's me.
Brilliant. Thank you, Adam. Mandy Graziano, great story today.
Thank you. It was fresh. It's fresh in my mind.
It was terrifying, but thank you for sharing it.
It happens more than you want to know.
Right.
Okay, here's my takeaway. If you're gathering at a venue or a hotel and it's 5 people or more, a great resource to figure out how much bandwidth you might need is online. There are bandwidth calculators. I use one that's called Encore Global. It's super easy. You enter in the number of people that are going to be there. Are you light, moderate, heavy bandwidth user? And then you plug it, you just answer four or five simple questions. It will literally tell you your Mbps, and then you can in advance find out if that venue or hotel has what you need and you can prepare for it, and then contact these super smart dudes that are on here if you don't have it, and they can set you up for success.
Awesome. Great tip. Dan Diaz, tip, takeaway, homework assignment. Thanks for being here. Dan, you still with us?
Okay, tip. Detroit pizza is just meh. I'll stick with my Chicago pizza any and every day. No, and a lot of great things here. You know, one thing that often gets ignored that we didn't cover today is Wi-Fi in kitchen areas or back of house.
Yeah, Internet of Things is definitely. I wish Eric could unmute, but yeah, please talk a little bit about that.
You definitely need to take a lot of things into context when you're mapping out your Cat 6E cable runs, not your 5s. Because Cat 5E came out like
Heard. I told you
15
it's been a
years
few
ago.
years since I opened. Game on.
I like.
No, it's everyone. No, it's a very common thing to still use Cat 5e, and just like guys, like
it's Cat 6E is what it is.
Yeah, I'd go 6 now,
Eric,
maybe even 7.
Eric, do we have any Cat 6E? Oh
no, we have Cat 5e.
Cat 5e. Okay,
Just go directly to Cat 7, man.
Cat 6E.
Cat 7 is the way forward, right? Cat 7. Let's do it. Let's do those tables you can't even bend.
It's fine for what most restaurants are doing, but yeah, at some point for new construction, definitely run something better.
Yeah, I can always tell someone. I'll be like, "Hey, when was your restaurant opened?" Oh, yeah, you got 3 or you got 5. Like So when you're doing your runs, especially if if you're having Wi-Fi, all of the machinery that's in your kitchen will just destroy that signal. So please take that into account. But really just start looking at your bandwidth, looking at your providers, have failover. I mean, it's a very important thing, especially for anyone that's on a cloud-based system. What people don't realize is that if you take a transaction in offline mode, it can be disputed and you will lose. So having failover is key. We partnered with a company called Granite for a tri-SIM, which basically is AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. It switches over automatically. And so therefore you don't get, taken advantage of on those chargebacks. And again, takeaway is Chicago's got the best pizza.
There it is.
Thanks for having me, Sean.
If you want to, Dan's episode on digital hospitality is coming out on Monday. Please check it out. Dean LeBay, tip, takeaway, homework assignment.
Fantastic room, and I got educated, and I'm going. I guess my tip is, it's already been said, is have a backup plan, and if you don't have a backup plan, Diaz, Dickerson, and Adam, build a relationship with them so you can at least reach out to them and get a quick answer. Thanks.
That's awesome. And Victoria, Amy, Laura, Hildy, James, we see you down below. We appreciate you. If you guys have any ideas for a room, Laura and I are co-hosting a room coming up later in November. Mike, do we have any room? Do we have rooms for next week scheduled?
Yeah, for Wednesday, we'll be joined by Bill Oakley, who is a food.
Oh yeah, sweet Simpsons writer Bill Oakley.
Yeah, how does an influencer get the attention of a brand? And that will be on Wednesday.
Michael, Gavin, Jason, Dan, Eric, Adam, Mandy, Dan, Dean, everybody that joined us, we appreciate you. Rising tide lifts all ships. Stay curious, get involved. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Have an awesome weekend. Thank you all. Thanks, guys.